Okay, hello, I am Charlie, and welcome to our first Tech in Asia Premiere Pro tutorial, which is going to be the very basics of getting a Premiere Pro project set up. I was going to try to do this all at once, but I keep screwing up, so we're going to split them down into smaller topics and focus on that. So step one, getting your project set up. Obviously, before you even open Premiere Pro, you want to have your video stuff ready to go. So the video that we're going to work on for these tutorials is this video that I have written about ambulances and guitar using a safer radio broadcast sort of alert system. So I found this story, wrote this script based on the story. So we've got our script right here. I found some different clips of ambulances and guitar on YouTube, and I went to savefrom.net and downloaded those clips. There's a bunch of other, if this site doesn't work for you, there are a million different websites that you can use to download YouTube videos. So just find one of those and downloaded all the clips. And then I moved all of the clips into a specific folder that I have set up to keep all of these files organized, because it's really, if you're only making one video, it doesn't matter that much. But if you're going to make a bunch of Facebook videos for Tech in Asia, you really want to have things organized, or it will become this horrible spread of just files everywhere, and it's very difficult to navigate anything. So what I have is I have this whole folder that's just TIA Facebook videos. I've got one folder that's for the exports, as I export a finished video, and as you can see, sometimes there's more than one version. I've got one folder that holds all the music that I've downloaded for different videos, so I can just go in and grab those. I've got one folder for the Premiere Pro and After Effects project files, just because those can, so they're not taking up space elsewhere. I've got one folder for specific video assets. So this is where I got my ambulance videos. I created a folder here, new create folder, and dropped my ambulance video clips into this folder. So I've got my ambulance videos in my specific video assets ambulance folder, got my assets, got my script, pretty much ready to go with the ambulance video. Now sometimes as you're making one, you might realize, oh shoot, I need more clips. So that may well happen while making this, but let's say we're ready to go. So once we're ready, we're going to open up Premiere. And I have version 5.5. You might have a different version, but it will all work basically the same way. So if it looks a little different from yours, don't worry too much. All the functions should be the same. So we're going to go New Project. As you can see, I've tried to make tutorial videos a few times, keep screwing up. New Project, and this is the new project screen where you can see these different options. Ignore all of them. The only thing that you need to care about is down here. Where do you want to save this project? So mine is saved, as you can see, in my Tech in Asia Facebook videos folder, and then in the Premiere Pro files folder. So that's where I want to save it. And you can give the project any name you want. We'll just call this one bleh, because I'm tired of naming them tutorial. All right, so once you have your name and you've got it saved in the right place, click OK. This will bring up your sequence. Each project in Premiere Pro can have a whole bunch of sequences, and you can think of sequences sort of like scenes. So if you were making a long movie, you wouldn't want to have one, you wouldn't want to be trying to edit the entire thing, each specific clip, all together in one giant timeline. It would just be a mess. So what you do is you use different sequences. But for Tech in Asia's purposes, you really are going to just use one sequence per video. So one video equals one sequence. So the only thing you need to care about here is, one, what do you want to name it? We're going to name ours Ambulance. And then two, what is the aspect ratio? What's the size and the frame rate that you want to use for this sequence, for this video that you're making? So over here, as you can see, there's a billion different presets. These are all based on different types of cameras that you might be using if you filmed the video yourself, but you didn't. So that doesn't really matter. All we need to do is find something that has the right size and the right frame rate for what we want to do. Now, I want, and a bunch of different options in here would all work. I'm going to make a 720p video. I think that's pretty good for Facebook. You don't really need to go much higher definition than that, and it's easier to get 720p than 1080p clips on Facebook anyway. So I'm going to just pick DSLR, and then I'm going to look in the 720p folder here, and I'm going to see 720p 60 frames per second. That's what that 60 means there. Okay, so I'm going to choose that. And you can look over here and see frame size, 1280 height, 720 width, 1280 width, 720 height, and the frame rate is 59.94. That stuff doesn't really matter that much. Really, just find the 720p. It could be 60 frames per second, could be 50, could be 24, could be 30, whatever. That for purposes of a Facebook video, that really doesn't matter. You just want to find something that's the right size. Now, if you wanted to make a square video, which sometimes we do for Facebook, what you could do is go over. There may be a square preset for you if you're using a newer version of Premiere Pro than me, but mine doesn't. This is Premiere Pro from before Facebook videos were square. So mine doesn't have that kind of setting, but you can make that, you can make a custom square video by just clicking on settings over here and then typing in the file size that you want. So I can change the frame size to 720 by 720, and that would give us a square video that we could work with. But I don't want to do that in this case. I just want to do a regular rectangular video, which is usually what you'll probably want to do. So we've got our 720p, 60 frames per second selected. We've got the sequence name. We're going to click OK. And here we are. Okay, so the first thing that we should do probably is just take a look at what all of this stuff is. So over here, this window is the project window. This shows us all of the different assets that we have to work with in our project. Right now, there's nothing there except for our ambulance sequence, which is empty. Over here is the clip window. So if we're looking at a specific video clip, that would display here, and we can mess with that in there. This is the project window. So this will show us when we click play. Of course, there's nothing in our project right now, but if there was, this would show us what our project is going to look like. It might not be totally rendered, but it'll basically show what we've got. So if you have a clip down here, and you've got titles, and you've got music, and all this stuff, you click play, and it will play all those together the way it's going to look in the final video. Down here, this is our timeline. So as you can see, we can add different video tracks, sort of one on top of the other. We can add different audio tracks, one on top of the other, and you can have more than 3. It just shows 3 audio and 3 video by default, but you can have a lot more than 3. And we can make this bigger or smaller. So you can see the time up here. That's in seconds. So this is the 8-second mark, 16 seconds, 24 seconds, and you can go all the way down to like basically specific frame by frame if you need to by just dragging this mountain up and down. So by default, this will usually show you a lot of space. See, we've got all the way up to like 9 minutes here, but of course our Facebook video is probably going to be less than 1 minute long ideally. So we're going to just make this a little bigger right off the bat. And over here is you will probably see this at first, media browser. I think that's kind of a useless window, so I usually like to leave this on effects instead. And the sort of effects that we'll be using will be mostly video transitions, just to make our clips sort of move a little bit more smoothly between clips. So we'll take a look at those in a bit. Now, the next thing we want to do to get our project ready is we're going to go over to the project window over here, and we're going to right click and we're going to select new bin. Bin is just Premiere Pro speak for folder. So basically what that does is create a little folder within our project window for this video. Now if you're just making one video, this isn't that important to do, but if you are going to be making a bunch of different Facebook videos, it's easiest to just use the same project. But if you have a whole bunch of different clips for different videos, it can get very confusing very quickly. So the easiest thing to do is to create a new bin, a new folder for each video that you're doing, and then put all of the assets related to that video into that folder. So the first thing we're going to do, now we've got this ambulance folder, we're going to drag our ambulance sequence into that folder. So now if we close the folder, you can see it's nice and clean. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to import our assets into this project window. So we're going to just right click anywhere in the screen, click import, and then it opens up right to the right folder for me, but you might need to navigate to yours. So okay, here's my Tech in Asia Facebook videos. We're going to go specific video assets, ambulance. Here are all my ambulance clips. I'm going to select all of them just by clicking and dragging, and then click open. And it will import. It might take a second. It'll import all of the files into our project window. And they're all selected by default, so I'm going to just select them all again here. And then I'm going to drag all of them again into our ambulance folder. Now they're in the ambulance folder. So again, once we close it, it's nice and clean. We could add new videos and do new projects in there if we wanted to. Good to keep everything in our ambulance folder. Okay. So now we've got all of our clips. As you can see, if I double click on one of these, it will appear over here in the clip window, and we can browse through it very easily. If I were to drag one of these down here, it would show up in our project video, and we would see it over here as the project plays. And that's pretty much it for the basics. So now you've got a basic Premiere Pro setup. You are ready to start creating your video.